Hello and welcome to Written Words and to part 4 in our seasonal poem, The Baron's Yule Feast by Thomas Cooper. So far we've heard a selection of tales and songs enjoyed by the revellers at the feast at Torksey Hall. And in this next section we begin with a bit of narration from the narrator telling us about the feast and what everybody is doing. And then the minstrel returns for another tale, this time quite a tragic one. Canto 3. Mirth verse from thee, rude leveller, of late thy dungeon harpings were of discontent and wrong, and we the privileged were banned for cumber grounds of fatherland in thy drear prison song. What fellowship hast thou with times when love-thralled minstrels chaunted rhymes at feast in feudal hall, and peasant churls, a saucy crew, fantastic o'er their wassail grew, forgetful of their thrall? Lordlings, your scorn a while forbear, and with the homely past compare your tinselled show and state. Mark if your selfish grandeurs cold on human hearts so firm a hold for ye and yours create, as they possessed, whose breasts, though rude, glowed with the warmth of brotherhood, for all who toiled through youth and age to enrich their forsworn heritage. Mark if ye feel your swollen pride secure ere ye begin to chide, then lordlings, though ye may discard the measures I rehearse, slight not the lessons of the bard, the moral of this verse. But we will dare thy verse to chide, wouldst re-enact the barmecide, and taunt our wretchedness with visioned feast and song and dance, while daily our grim heritance is famine and distress. Hast thou forgot thy pledges stern, never from suffering's cause to turn, but to the end of life, against oppression's ruthless band, still unsubduable to stand, a champion in the strife? Think'st thou we suffer less, or feel today's soul-piercing wounds do heal the wounds of months and years? Or that our eyes so long have been familiar with the hunger keen our babes endure, we gaze serene, strangers to scalding tears? Ah no, my brothers, not from me hath faded solemn memory of all your bitter grief. This heart its pledges doth renew, to its last pulse it will be true, to beat for your relief. My rhymes are trivial, but my aim deem ye not purposeless. I would the homely truth proclaim, that times which knaves full loudly blame for feudal haughtiness would put the grinding crew to shame who prey on your distress. Oh, that my simple lay might tend to kindle some remorse in your oppressors' souls, and bend their wills a cheerful help to lend, and lighten labour's curse. A night of snow the earth hath clad with virgin mantle chill, but in the sky the sun looks glad, and blithely o'er the hill, from fen and wold, troops many a guest to sing and smile at Thorold's feast. And oft they bless the bounteous sun that smileth on the snow, and oft they bless the generous one their homes that bids them fro, to glad their hearts with merry cheer when Yule returns in winter drear. How joyously the lady bells shout, though the bluff north breeze loudly his boisterous bugle swells, and though the brooklets freeze. How fair the leafless hawthorn tree waves with its hoarfrost tracery, while sun smiles throw o'er stalks and stems sparkles so far transcending gems. The bard would gloze who said their sheen did not out-diamond all brightest gauds that man hath seen, worn by earth's proudest king or queen, in pomp and grandeur throned. St. Leonard's monks have chaunted mass, and clowns and gossips' laughing face is turned unto the porch. For now comes mime and motley fool, guarding the dizened lord misrule with mimic pomp and march. And the burly abbot of unreason forgets not that the blithe Yule season demands his paunch at church. And he useth his staff, while the rustics laugh, and still as he layeth his crozier about, laugheth aloud each clownish lout, and the lout as he laugheth from corbels grim, sees carven apes ever laughing at him. Louder and wilder the merriment grows, for the hobby-horse comes and his rider he throws, and the dragons roar as he paweth the floor and belcheth fire in his demon ire. When the abbot the monster takes by the nose, stirreth a tempest of uproar and din, yet none surmiseth the joke is a sin, for the saints from the windows in purple and gold, with smiles, say the gossips, Yule games behold. And at Christmas the Virgin all divine smileth on sport from her silver shrine. Come forth, it is high noon, cries Hugh the seneschal. My masters, will ye ne'er have done? Come forth unto the hall. 'Tis high Yule-tide in Torksey Hall, full many a trophy bedecks the wall of prowess in field and wood. Blent with the buckler and grouped with the spear, hang tusks of the boar and horns of the deer, but detorrelled guests beheld naught there that scented of human blood. The mighty wassail horn suspended from the tough yew bough at Hastings bended, with wreaths of bright holly and ivy bound, were perches for falcons that shrilly screamed, while their look with the lightning of anger gleamed, as they chided the fawning of mastiff and hound that crouched at the feet of each peasant guest, and asked with their eyes to share the feast. Sir Wilfrid's carven chair of state 'neath the dais is gently elevate, but his smile bespeaks no lordly pride. Sweet Edith sits by her loved sire's side, and 500 guests, some free, some thrall, sit by the tables along the wide hall, each with his platter and stout drink horn. They count on good cheer this Christmas morn. Not long they wait, not long they wish, the trumpet peals and the kingly dish, the head of the brawny boar, decked with rosemary and laurels gay, upstarting they welcome with loud huzzah, as their fathers did of yore. And they point to the custard he bears in his mouth, and vow the huge pig, so luscious a fig, would not gather to grunch in the daintiful south. Strike up, a louder chime, ye minstrels in the loft. Strike up, it is no fitting time for drowsy strains and soft. When sewers 80 have passed the hall door, and the tables are laden with roast and boiled, and carvers are hasting lest all should be spoiled, and gossips' tongues clatter more loudly than platter, and tell of their marvel to reckon the sorts. Ham by fat capon and beef by green worts, venison from forest and mutton from fold, brawn from the oakwood and hare from the wold, wild goose from fen and tame from the lea, and plumed dish from the heronry. With choicest apples 'twas featly rimmed, and stood next the flagons with malmsey brimmed. Near the knightly swan, begirt with quinces, which gossips said was a dish for princes, though his place was never to stand before the garnished head of the royal boar. Puddings of plums and mince pies placed in plenty along the board met taste of gossip and maiden, nor did they fail to sip now and then of the double brown ale. That ploughman and shepherd vowed and sware was each drop so racy and sparkling and rare, no outlandish Rhenish could with it compare. Trow ye they stayed till the meal was done, to pledge a health, degenerate son of friendly sires, a health thrice told, each guest had pledged to fellowships old, untarrying eager mouth to wipe, and across the board with hearty gripe, joining rough hands ere the meal was o'er, hearts and hands went with healths in the days of yore. The meal is o'er, though the time of mirth, each brother feels, is but yet in its birth. Wassail, wassail, the seneschal cries, and the spicy bowl rejoiceth all eyes, when before the baron beloved 'tis set, and he dippeth horn, and thus doth greet the honest hearts around him met. Health to ye all, my brothers good, all health and happiness. Health to the absent of our blood, may heaven the suffering bless, and cheer their hearts who lie at home in pain now merry Yule hath come. My jolly freres, all health. The shout is loud and long, but tears glide quickly from some eyes, while ears list whispering sounds of stealth that tell how the noble Thorold hath sent to palsied widow and age-stricken hind clothing and food and brother words kind, cheering their aching languishment. Wassail, wassail, Sir Wilfrid saith, push round the brimming bowl. Art thou there, minstrel? By my faith, all list to hear thee troll again some goodly love-lorn verse. Begin thy ditty to rehearse, and take for guerdon wishes blithe, lest thou wilt take red gold therewith. Red gold, the minstrel saith, he scorneth, but now the merry Yule returneth, for love of him whom angels sung, and love of one his burning tongue is fain to name, but may not tell. Once more unto the harp's sweet swell a knightly chanson he will sing, and straight he struck the throbbing string. Sir Raymond and the False Palmer. The Stranger Minstrel's second tale. Sir Raymond de Clifford, a gallant band, hath gathered to fight in the Holy Land, and his lady's heart is sinking in sorrow, for the knight and his lances depart on the morrow. O wherefore, noble Raymond, tell, his lovely lady weeping said, with lonely sorrow must I dwell, when but 3 bridal moons have fled. Sir Raymond kissed her pale, pale cheek, and strove with a warrior's pride, while an answer of love he essayed to speak, his flooding tears to hide. But an image rose in his heated brain, that shook his heart with vengeful pain, and anger flashed in his rolling eye, while his lady looked on him tremblingly. Yet he answered not in wrathful haste, but clasped his bride to his manly breast, and with words of tender yet stately dress, thus strove to banish her heart's distress. De Burgh hath enrolled him with Philip of France, Baron Hubert, who challenged de Clifford's lance, and made him the scoff of the burgher swine, when he paid his vows at the Virgin's shrine. O ask me not, love, to tarry in shame, lest craven be added to Raymond's name. To Palestine hastens my mortal foe, and I with our lion's heart will go. Nay, Gertrude, repeat not thy sorrowing tale. Behold in my casque the scallop shell, and see on my shoulder the holy rood, the pledge of my emprise bedyed in blood. Thou wouldst not, love, I should be forsworn, nor the stain on my honour be tamely borne. Do thou to the saints each passing day for Raymond and royal Richard pray, while they rush to the rescue for God's dear Son, and soon for thy Raymond, the conqueror's meed, by the skill of his arm and the strength of my steed, from the Paynim's sword shall be nobly won. Thou shalt not long for de Clifford mourn, ere he to thy bosom of love return, when blind to the lure of the red cross bright, he will bask for life in thy beauty's light. The morn in the radiant east arose, the red cross knight hath spurred his steed, that courseth as swift as a falcon's speed, to the salt sea shore Sir Raymond goes. Soon the sea he hath crossed to Palestine, and there his heart doth chafe and pine, for Hubert de Burgh is not in that land, he loitereth in France with Philip's band. But de Clifford will never a recreant turn, while the knightly badge on his arm is borne, and long beneath the Syrian sun he fasted and fought and glory won. His Gertrude, alas, like a widow pines, and though on her castle the bright sun shines, she sees not its beams, but in loneliness prays through the livelong hours of her weeping days. 12 moons have waned, and the morn is come, when a year before from his mead-won home Sir Raymond went. At the castle gate a reverend palmer now doth wait. He saith he hath words for the lady's ear, and he telleth in accents dread and dear of de Clifford's death in the Holy Land, at Richard's side by a Saracen's hand. And he gave to the lady, when thus he had spoken of Sir Raymond's fall, a deathly token. 'Twas a lock of his hair, all stained with blood, entwined on a splinter of holy rood. Then the palmer in haste from the castle sped, and from gloomy morn to weary night, lorn Gertrude in her widowed plight weepeth and waileth the nightly dead. 3 moons have waned, and the palmer again by Gertrude stands and smileth fain, nor of haste nor of death speaks the palmer now, nor doth sadness or sorrow bedim his brow. He softly sits by the lady's side, and vaunteth his deeds of chivalrous pride, then lisps in her secret ear of things which deeply endanger the thrones of kings. From Philip of France, he saith, he came to treat with Prince John, whom she must not name, and he in fair France hath goodly lands, and 1,000 vassals there wait his commands. The lady liked her gallant guest, for he kenned the themes that pleased her best, and his tongue in silken measures skilled, with goodly ditties her memory filled. Thus the palmer the lady's ear beguiles, till Gertrude her sorrow exchangeth for smiles, and when from the castle the palmer went, she watched his return from the battlement. Another moon doth swell and wane, but how slowly it waneth, how her heart now paineth for the sight of the palmer again. But the palmer comes, and her healed heart derideth pain and sorrow. She pledgeth the palmer and smirketh smart, and saith, "We'll wed to-morrow." The morrow is come, and at break of day, for the altar the abbot in holy array is joining the palmer's and Gertrude's hands. But in sudden amazement the holy man stands. For before the castle a trumpet's blast rings so loud that the palmer starts aghast. And at Gertrude's side he sinks dismayed. Is it with dread of the living or fear of the dead? The doors of the chapel were open thrown, and the beams through the pictured windows shone on the face of de Clifford with fury flushed, and forth on the palmer he wildly rushed. "False Hubert!" he cried, and his knightly sword was sheathed in the heart of the fiend-souled lord. With a scream of terror Gertrude fell, for she knew the pride of Sir Raymond well. He flew to raise her, but 'twas in vain, her spirit its flight in fear had ta'en, and Sir Raymond kneels that his soul be shriven, and the stain of this deed be by grace forgiven. But ere the abbot his grace condole, de Clifford's truthful heart is breaking, and his soul also its flight is taking. Christ speed it to a heavenly goal. O pray for the peace of Sir Raymond's soul. So a bit of a tragic ending to part 4. Part 5, however, will bring some more merriment and some more laughs, and we'll also hear a little bit, finally, from the Baron's daughter herself.